Why wet food changes your cat. It's more serious than you think. Most cat owners have no idea their cat is slowly getting sicker, and their food bowl is the reason why. If your cat eats dry food every single day, there's something going on inside their body right now that you probably haven't heard about. And by the end of this video, you're going to want to open a can of wet food immediately. Let's talk about something that almost nobody explains well. Why the type of food you give your cat actually changes how their organs work, especially the kidneys. The problem nobody talks about. Cats don't drink water the way dogs do, or the way you do. In the wild, cats get almost all their water from the prey they eat. A mouse, a bird, a lizard, those animals are made of about 70% water. So a wild cat is basically drinking water every single time it eats. Now think about what dry kibble is. Dry food has about 10% water content, sometimes less. Your cat is basically eating crackers all day, and you're expecting them to compensate for that by walking over to a water bowl. Here's the thing. Cats have a naturally weak thirst drive. Scientists think this happened because for thousands of years, they simply never needed a strong one. They got everything from their food. So when you put a bowl of dry food in front of your cat, their brain doesn't automatically tell them, hey, you need to go drink more water now. They just don't. Not enough anyway. And what happens to a body that's chronically a little dehydrated? The kidneys start working overtime. They're constantly trying to concentrate urine to save water. And over months and years of doing that, they wear down. Kidney disease is the #1 cause of death in older cats. Let that sink in.
What wet food actually does differently? When you switch your cat to wet food, or even just add wet food alongside their dry food, something important happens. First, their water intake shoots up almost immediately. A cat eating wet food gets 3 to 4 times more water than one eating only dry food. Not from a bowl, not from a fancy fountain, just from the food itself, the way nature intended. Second, their kidneys stop working so hard. The urine becomes less concentrated. That means less strain, less damage over time, and for cats that already have early kidney issues, it can slow down the progression significantly. Third, and this one surprises a lot of people, their bladder and urinary tract get healthier too. Cats that don't drink enough water are way more prone to urinary crystals and blockages, especially male cats, whose urethra is extremely narrow. A urinary blockage in a male cat is a medical emergency. We're talking life-threatening within 24 to 48 hours if not treated. Wet food helps dilute the urine enough that those crystals have a much harder time forming. But my cat is fine on dry food. This is the part where people get defensive. And honestly, that's fair. A lot of cats eat dry food their whole life and seem totally fine. The key word there is seem, because kidney disease in cats is sneaky. By the time you see visible symptoms, weight loss, vomiting, drinking more water than usual, the kidneys are already at about 25% function or less. That's just how it works. The kidneys compensate silently for a long, long time before the cracks start showing. So saying my cat is fine doesn't always mean they're actually fine. It might just mean you haven't noticed yet. What about dental health? Okay, this is the biggest argument for dry food, right? Dry food cleans their teeth. Quick reality check. Most cats don't even chew their kibble. They crack it with the side of their teeth or swallow it whole. The idea that dry food acts like a toothbrush for cats is honestly more of a marketing claim than a dental fact. The Veterinary Oral Health Council, the actual organization that certifies dental products for pets, only endorses a very small number of kibble formulas for dental health. Random grocery store kibble doesn't make that list. If dental health is your concern, brushing your cat's teeth or giving them actual dental treats or chews will do a lot more than dry food ever will.
The wet food is too expensive argument. Let's be real. Wet food can cost more. Not always, but sometimes. Here's what's also expensive. A trip to the emergency vet for a urinary blockage. We're talking anywhere from $1,000 to $3,000 or more depending on where you live. Kidney disease management, the special food, the fluids, the vet visits adds up fast too. You don't have to go all in overnight. A lot of vets suggest mixing. Keep some dry food for during the day if that works for your schedule, but add a wet food meal once or twice daily. Even that small change makes a measurable difference in hydration levels. The transition problem, and how to fix it. Now, here's something nobody prepares you for. A lot of cats will flat out refuse wet food if they've only ever eaten dry. This is actually a known thing. Cats can become addicted to the texture and smell of kibble. The fat coating on dry food is really palatable, and their brains get used to it. If your cat sniffs the wet food and walks away like you just insulted them personally, deeply relatable. Here's what to do. Start slow. Put a tiny amount of wet food right next to their dry food. Don't mix it in at first, because some cats will just eat around it and look at you with contempt. Let them get used to the smell. After a few days, start putting a very small amount on top of the dry food. Gradually increase the ratio over a couple of weeks. Some cats transition in a few days. Some take a month, but almost all of them get there eventually. The ones that are the most stubborn are usually the ones that have been eating the same dry food for the longest time. Be patient. What kind of wet food should you look for? Not all wet food is created equal. Here's a quick breakdown. Look for options where a real protein source, chicken, turkey, fish, rabbit, is the first ingredient. Not chicken byproduct meal as the only protein, and not corn gluten meal anywhere near the top of the list. Avoid anything with a lot of thickeners like carrageenan, which is linked to digestive issues in cats. Check the protein and fat content. Cats are obligate carnivores, meaning their body is literally designed to run on animal protein and fat, not carbs. Wet foods generally have fewer carbohydrates than dry, which is another win for their biology. Pâté-style wet foods tend to have fewer additives and thickeners than chunking gravy formulas. But honestly, the best wet food is the one your cat will actually eat. Something is always better than nothing.
The bottom line, your cat's food bowl is one of the biggest factors in how long and how healthy their life is going to be. Wet food isn't just a treat or a luxury. For a species that's biologically wired to get water from prey, it's actually much closer to how they're supposed to eat. Kidney disease, urinary blockages, bladder problems, a huge portion of them trace back to chronic low-level dehydration over years. And that's something most of us can actually do something about, starting today. You don't have to throw out all the dry food tomorrow. Just add a can. Start there. If you want to keep learning how to take better care of your cat, subscribe. There's a lot more coming.